All right, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Should be good, should be good. Can y'all hear me? Victims of Miseducation podcast, once again. Hit that link in the bio, hit that link in the bio. All right, they said it's good, it's good. I know they can hear me on there, so just once again. All right, welcome to the Victims of Miseducation podcast, where we are tackling topics that is plaguing the world currently. Once again, we are all victims of miseducation. All right, we're all victims of miseducation, but in this space, we're here to all try to get a clear picture of life, to understand life. That's what we are here, and we're giving and dropping wisdom. We're dropping some gems that hopefully can help individuals while they're dealing with the world and what's going outside there. All right, the media, what they're showing you on the news, what they're trying to teach you. All right, so this is a space where we try to focus on giving people a more clearer picture than what usually people will get on other podcasts. So we go a little more in depth. All right, we go a little more in depth here. And today we are touching on the election. All right, we're touching on election. We're touching on republics. We're touching on Democrats, all right? Because what we seen a nation, all right, America, the United States of America, divided, all right? And we seeing an argument on republics, Democrats. We see some people who say, hey, screw both parties, all right? We need the black party, all right? We need to vote in a black party. And we see some people say, hey, you know what? I'm not voting at all. I'm voting for whoever they may believe their religious leader is, right? We have people that say they voting for Christ. We got people that say they voting for Muhammad, right? We got people that say they're voting for Buddha, all right? Different, whoever it is that you believe in, that's your higher power. All right, but we're just going to take it a little into what happened last night. Look at where this type of system came from so that you can make the proper educated choice on whether to partake in voting, not voting, right? Your opinion on the Democrats, your opinion on Republicans, by at least showing a little origin of where this all is coming from. All right, what are we all arguing about? What is everybody arguing about? This is what's missing. I don't feel people on their podcasts or their platforms are touching on the important thing, all right? The origin of the thing, where it's coming from, what's going on, so that we can properly assess what's going on today. All right, so once again, with that being said, this is the Victims of Miseducation podcast, right? A space where we come to understand life. All right, we're giving you the intro and we'll be right back. All right, the first one. All right, we just want the regular Donald. All right, so let's go. We getting right into it, all right? So we getting right into it. Donald Trump has won the election. 2024 election. Oh no. Let's get some. All right. All right. So Donald Trump will win the second term, or he did win the second term. CNN projects in a historic comeback after losing 4 years ago. All right. So 4 years ago, we seen the media take aim at Donald Trump. We seen social media take aim. We seen all the social media platforms take aim. And they're saying it was a historic comeback because a lot of people was against Trump based on social media, what they were being taught, what they were being showed. A lot of people weren't educated. So it seems like this time around, a lot more people were educated on the topic. At least they think they are, all right? A lot more people were educated on the topic.
It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president, defeating Vice President Kamala Harris and making a political comeback unlike any in modern American politics.
Closer to you.
Make this projection
No, the mic, I'm saying.
CNN projects that Donald Trump has won Wisconsin. You can see right there, currently ahead by 30,000 votes with 99% of the vote in. Mr. Trump is only the second former president in U.S. history to be re-elected to the White House. He will return to office after 2 impeachments in his first.
All right, so once again, just showing you Donald Trump has won. They said it's a historic comeback. And that's because, once again, social media had a lot of people programmed where no matter what you were saying, people were going against the Trump vote and the Republican vote. We're seeing this time, I guess they've done a better job at spreading the message, or maybe the elites or whoever's controlling the system has let, this portion of what they've had plotted out play out now. All right, but nonetheless, they said it's a historic comeback for Donald Trump. And we're just going to take a look at a couple of the demographics that voted for him. So let's go. All right, so we're going to look at the polls. All right, so we're seeing now that when it comes to the black vote, 85% of the black vote went to the Democrats. All right, so they have done a good job at ensuring that they're going to get our people to vote. They also were able to get the black woman vote as well. All right, a lot of black women voted. All right, so black women, it said 91% of black women voted for the Democrats, and there's no surprise, right? They put a so-called black woman as the mascot for the race, and we seen black women, they came out in full accord to support what they believe is right. All right, black men as well. All right, a lot of black men. I seen a video. They interviewed somebody who said a man, he had to vote because his wife threatened to leave him if he didn't vote. So a lot of those black men votes, a lot of that was forced votes as well. All right, because if you have a stern woman and she's made up her mind about this and she has certain beliefs, you better believe my man better think the same way. All right, or there's nothing coming your way. All right. When it comes to white men vote, we've seen 37%, white women 45%. So those demographics, very lower numbers when it comes to the voting for the Democrats. Other races, we're seeing 48%, right? And 46, about tie, and then split between people who don't really know. All right, so they have the black vote, and this is what's dangerous as well, because even in my experience, I don't care about either individual, really. First of all, I'm not even American, right? But if I give an opinion on one side particular, which is the Trump side, right, I'm going to be attacked by the other side. I could give an opinion about Kamala on the other side. They're just going to ask me certain things like, hey, have you read her this? Do you know her laws? Do you do certain things? But the other side, from my experience, was a little more emotional when it comes to assessing things. All right, so just once again, we're just taking a look at the results. And the results is that Black America definitely, right, is programmed to the Democratic way. And just for the information, that it was the Republic that was that had their hand in the freedom of slavery. And there's a whole bunch of other different things. But even past that, all right, because like I said, we're going to the origin, what nobody's talking about. You came here to understand life, all right, because we're all victims of miseducation. And to understand life the best, we have to understand where we're coming from. We got to understand the origins. First of all, what is a republic? What is a republic to want to vote Republic? And what is a Democrat? Right, so we understand that they say we live in a republic. Countries are republic. Right, America is a republic. Right, they even say Canada is a republic. All these places are made in the form of a republic. But what is a Democrat? Right, because a republic is the structure of the country. All right, that's a republic, and we're going to be touching on that further and further. But what is a Democrat? Where did that come from? What are you actually fighting for? What is this all actually about? Right? These are the things that we're missing out of here. And they're adding in the Beyonce. They're adding in the 50 Cent. All these players, and who else did they add in? Eminem. Right.
Even going years ago back to Diddy with Vote or Die.
We have that in here too, right? We definitely gonna get down to Diddy, what he was doing as well with the Vote or Die. All right, what is this all about though? What are we fighting? What is it? What are these political parties? Where do they originate from? What are they all about? All right, I'm putting this out there because first we got to understand that the countries that we are living in are designed to be a republic. All right, and after the design to be a republic, they're trying to institute a new system, which is a democratic system. What is that system? What is a republic? First of all, before we got to a republic, what kind of system were we in? What system is better? Right? When you're laying your vote, are you taking these things into consideration? That's what we are looking at. All right, so once again, we're going to take a couple looks at some more links and things and go into it. All right, but once again, we were able to see that the Democrats, they have the black vote. And for black people who are voting Democrat, these are the questions I would ask for them specifically. Because if you voted Democrat, that means you must have understood what a republic is. That means you must have understood what a republic nation is, right? That means you must have understood the difference between a republic and a Democrat and what they are trying to bring in and the new type of system they are. And you would have had to know the system they left from to institute a Republican system, right? These are the things you need to know before you cast a vote for Democrats or Republicans, right? Because you need to understand what you are doing. And that's what we're here to talk about. All right, so we're going to go into a next link. All right. So first, we're going to start off. Oh, man. They keep doing this. They keep blocking these links. They keep trying to firewall these links. Give me 1 second. So I think I got it here. All right, you can share it here. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is why is Trump being compared to the obscure biblical King Jehu on the Christian right? All right, so And this is what's going on. A lot of people, they just want to institute Bible right away, and Trump is the next king. And once again, even for a Christian, the same thing will go out to them. Before you can make these claims about Trump and Bible in comparison to a king, we got to then look at what is a republic. All right. What is a republic? What is a democracy? Right. Where did these things come from? What came before a republic? Do these things coincide with God, his purpose? Right? Because these are the things people are believing. So we're in times of Israel. Once again, this is November 5th, 2024, 1:30 a.m., right? They're saying, why is Trump being compared to the obscure biblical King Jehu on the Christian right? And it says some pastors are urging their followers to think of the Republican candidate as a present-day manifestation of the monarch who violently killed the evil Jezebel. All right? So they're saying, hey, this man, he's like King Jehu, all right? And this man, he's like the king that killed Jezebel, that was bringing in all this lawlessness in the land. Now, just once again, the key thing with this is they are comparing Trump, who's a president, to a king. And the whole thing on the origin of republics and monarchies, which is where kings come from, all right? We're going to see that these two things don't coexist, right? So republics came in to replace kings, all right? So to compare him to a king, they're oxymoron. They're against each other, all right? You cannot compare him to something that they did not want to be, all right? So he can't be compared to a king because a president came in to eliminate kings. But we kind of get what they're saying, because they're saying he's a leader and this leader took out this leader. But once again, for the Christian, they're going to have to understand that, hey, these people took out kings. Who instituted kings? All right? Who instituted kings and who instituted republics? Where did these things come from? So this is all we're looking at. So once again, they're comparing Donald Trump to King Jehu from the Bible. And this is the times of Israel. And they're comparing him because they're saying this king was the one who took out and killed the evil Jezebel. And they're saying Trump, he must be doing that, right? Destroying the system that's in place, or handling what the Democrats have done. All right, so we're looking at it. It says Donald Trump's fans and critics alike have compared him to some of history's most famous rulers: Cyrus the Great, Adolf Hitler, King David, and more. But on the eve of the election, a celebrity pastor named Jonathan Cahn wants his evangelical followers to think of the Republican candidate as a present-day manifestation of a far more obscure leader, the biblical King Jehu, who vanquished the morally corrupt house of Ahab to become the 10th ruler of the kingdom of Israel. Quote, it says, President Trump, you were born into the world to be a trumpet of God, a vessel of the Lord in the hands of God. God called you to walk according to the template. He called you according to the template of Jehu, the warrior king. End quote. Khan told hundreds of Christian leaders who gathered last week for the National Faith Summit outside Atlanta. He also shared a clip of his prophecy about Trump on his YouTube channel, which has more than 1 million followers. What Khan means and why at least one scholar of the Christian right says he is worried requires some background. Khan, 65, is the son of a Holocaust refugee and grew up a Jewish household in New Jersey. When he was 20, he says he had a personal revelation that led him to Jesus, and he eventually became the head of the Messianic congregation, blending Jewish rituals with Christian worship and a focus on doomsday prophecies. Khan helped popularize the interpretation of 9/11 as an apocalyptic biblical allegory. In his telling, the terrorist attacks were akin to God's rebuke of the biblical nation of Israel, and they happened because God wanted the United States to revert to a time before legalized abortion and gay rights, when religion held a more central place in society, or else. His book on the topic, The Harbinger, came out in 2012 and spent months on the New York Times bestseller list. So this, once again, the thoughts of these pastors and Christians. And, obviously we're going to attack Christians because we're not attack Christians. We're going to mention Christians because they're going to be the ones that's most going to believe this or put Donald Trump on the pedestal before going into the information and the facts we're going into today. To compare him to a Christian king, right, when we know that he is a leader of a republic and republics came in to take out Christian kings and kings alike, right, is now leading to a different interpretation of the actual story. All right. Yes, he can operate like that, but to understand that he is a president and a president is directly against the institution of a king will go against everything that King Jehu meant to the biblical Israelites, right? Because it's a different system. But how do we get to the system of a Republican? How do we get to presidents and how do we take out kings? This is what we're here to get into today so that you can make an educated choice on, do you want to vote Democrat? Do you want to Republican? Or do you want to revert back to the original ways where God chose? Yes, God chose kings, right? God chose kings. And we're far away from the spirituality we once were because people nowadays aren't set on God choosing or a spiritual, the universe choosing. And this is how things was always up until this new system that's been instituted. And the reason is because of unbelief and lack of faith. People no longer believe that there's a higher power that oversees the affairs of life, that oversees government, that says this is okay. I'm okay with the leader. People don't believe in that no more. So if you don't believe in that, it's going to be hard to live in a society that's ruled by monarchs. You see what I'm saying? And this is how we get to people saying, you know what? I will vote. I will cast the vote. I will pick. I will have the power in my hand. Right? When opposite, you couldn't just be a king, right? When we look into kings and kingship, these were chosen people who by supernatural revelations was picked and chosen to be kings, and it was set that way. And that bloodline had that on leading down. You cannot just wake up and become a king. You cannot just wake up and your bloodline becomes kings without this supernatural happening that happened. And we're going to take a look at those stuff. All right, but this is what happened. This is what transpired. All right, so we're going to take a couple more looks. All right. So, all right, bring it up. We are here now. And we're just taking a look. We're going to Asia. We're going to Asia. We're going to the Asian continent. And we're going to take a look at how, because in Asia, the same type of thing is up there now, all right? In Asia, we have republics. What is a republic? Once again, a republic. Once you have a presidency, you're in a republic, all right? So once again, warning, message. Once you are in a presidency, you are in a republic. All right, so right now, what we're taking a look at is the Organization for Research on China and Asia. All right, so this is orca.org. All right, it's orcaasia.org. And it's Organization for Research on China and Asia. And what I'm at is what's called the heavens, the mandate of heaven, then and now. Now you're going to be like, why are you going to mandate of heaven? This is not a biblical show, by the way. All right, but this information always leads us into the path of spirituality, right? Righteousness, wrong versus right, morality, these things. And right now it's taking us on a path to Asia, the Asian continent. And we're looking at, before there was republics in Asia, how did they vote? How did people vote? This is every land. So we could go to Asia. We could go to anywhere. It's the same thing everywhere. But I'm just using Asia as an example. Somewhere far away from here, we can go and look. So we have what's called the Mandate of Heaven. And it says Then and Now by Ahana Roy. All right. The legitimacy of the CPC under Xi Yingping. All right, Yingping. And it says summary. In China, it says summary. In China, performance legitimacy has been an integral aspect of Chinese history as well as its politics. This can be traced back to the 11th century BC, all right, when the mandate of heaven was invoked by the Zhao dynasty in their justification of overthrowing the previous Shang dynasty. According to the mandate of heaven, an ancient Chinese political philosophy, there could only be one valid ruler who was believed to receive the approval of an ancient divine force known as heaven. This son of heaven was considered the only ruler of China. The party has linked its rule as essential for the survival of its authority and the rise of China. Based on this, it has sought to muffle any discontent with the regime and has exalted Xi Jinping's position as harbinger of common prosperity in China. This notion of Xi being indispensable to maintaining peace and order within China and navigating through external threats emanates from the mandate of heaven. So just once again showing you, this is going back all the way to 11th century BC. They're showing you before there was a republic in place, there was what's called the mandate of heaven. This is not the Bible, all right? But they're still calling it, hey, some force known as heaven. They controlled our political party and they chose the leader. This leader was chosen and became king. This was done by divine right. Right? This is how things were operating before. So God chose personally in each land. And I don't think people are aware of that. When you've seen a king, whether good or bad, and we could even go back into the Bible with Pharaoh. God said he raised Pharaoh up. All right, to show his power through Pharaoh. He chose Pharaoh. God has been choosing kings and queens from the beginning of time. Right? Biblically, he sent prophets and they chose them physically. The other nations we see when we're looking into their history, he governed it by a divine force. And they understood this force to be known as heaven. And they understood that the son or the man that was chosen to rule the nation was the son of heaven. And this is how things was instituted into kings, into monarchies. Now, where did the republic come from? This is our question. So China, how did China move from this God choosing, being religious, being all of that into a republic society? All right. Where did that happen? That happened from rebellion. That happened from a republic rebellion. That happened from people rebelling. Because first of all, what is a republic? So we're going to get into that real quick. We're going to go to etymology real quick.
All right, this is the etymology of republic, which is a noun. We are on etymologyonline.com. Quote, state in which supreme or executive power rests in the people via representatives chosen by citizens entitled to vote. End quote. From 1600, from French République, from Latin Republica. Quote, the commonwealth or wheel, a commonwealth, state, republic. Literally, res republica. Public interest, the state. From res, affair, matter, thing, see re, plus publica.
All right.
Public.
There we go. No. So republic, plus public. All right. And once again, we're going to go into re. So re is affair, the matter, the thing. And public, once again, public is of the people. So public is people. All right. So the affairs of the people. So a republic is the affairs of the people. The power is invested in the people. So what happened was, and you have to understand, that people no longer wanted to follow a leader, right? They no longer wanted to follow a leader. They no longer wanted to follow a divine leader chosen by the heavens mandate. And this is in all societies, right? So a republic is directly. So if you're voting republic, that means, guess what? You mean you don't like kings and queens. That's what a republic is. That's the spirit of a republic.
But yet people want to say they're a king or they're a queen.
Correct, right? So we would have people, or even if you're a Democrat too, because they agree with the same system, right? So if you're voting Democrat, if you're voting Republic, that means you're voting against kings and queens. That means you yourself cannot call yourself a king nor a queen. You yourself cannot be looked at as that. All right. Now, people say that with words, but they know truly they're not kings and queens. All right. They know truly in law they're not a king and a queen because kings and queens operate a certain way in law. All right. When you're around kings and royalty and all of that, you feel the power of them in society. All right. So to cast a Republican vote means you are against kings. It means you cannot be a king. Right? So don't even put king in your bracket. You're against kings. You're against someone having full power to be a king. You're against someone having domain, full domain, and you're against someone having that power from God. Right? To cast a republic vote means that directly. I am against a king divine from God. All right, so this is the original rebellion. So just we're reeling it back. Right, Donald Trump, 2024, Republican. We just seen a Christian pastor say he's like Jehu, the king who took out Jezebel. But we just showed that a Republic leader has a rebellion against a king. So he would be doing the same thing that Jezebel and all of them would be doing against Jehu. All right? So this is why we're saying why you have to understand the origin, because even the people who are saying, hey, I believe in these stories, I understand this, because they're not getting the origin, they're casting the wrong vote. They're not understanding. Because guess what? If you're against a republic, to be against a republic means we're going to destroy the republic. We're going to reinstitute back the kingdom. You see? So there would be no vote for this person, that person. It would be, who did God choose to reign and be king over us? But you see, North America is full of people that are more wise now. People that have more information. So they're going to have to come to this choice collectively to honor this king in the land. That's why North America has yet to crown a king in modern times. All right. Tell me which king has been crowned in North America.
There's none.
All right. But there's kings in Asia. There's kings in Europe. There's kings in Africa.
Does LeBron count?
King James. LeBron James. I'm sorry. We forgot about LeBron James.
He's a king. This is the king of the NBA, though.
King of the NBA, a different domain. We talk about king of the lands.
Okay.
All right.
I just wanted to get clarification.
All right. So there's no king in North America. Why? Because people in North America, they're more awake. They have more mouth. They have more liberty. Right?
That's the key thing where you said there, the liberty that's over here. The freedom of choice.
Access to information.
Freedom of choice. So that means that we're going to have to be educated on the topic to come to a consensual agreement that, hey, we're going to honor a king and have a king over us in the lands of North America. All right, but that's yet to happen, right? Because these lands, once again, were made in rebellion. First of all, the United States of America was made through the rebellion against the crown, the queen in England. That's how America became a republic. So we're getting what's a republic now, right? A republic means you are against the queen, the kings of the earth. And you could be against a king and set up your own, right? Who you believe God chose. But they believe that that type of system wasn't the best system. That's what that means. So if you're voting republic, that's what you are voting for. That's what you are saying. And then we could get into what Democrat is, right? Which a democracy is, where it doesn't matter about principles. It doesn't matter about what's right or wrong. It matters about who votes 51% and who's 49%. Whatever that is, That's what we're doing. Whether it's extreme, disgusting things, whatever. It's not about moral principle. It's about what do the votes say. That's a democracy, right? Which the republic, once again, was set on certain principles and morality, and we're going against the morality of a king and him being divine and him having full power, right? And that a democracy is just ruled by a mob where they're not thinking morality more so less. It's all about the vote. What do the majority say? All right, so we're getting into this. Anyone have anything to say before we get into
this is what you also, because we're over here in what's known as the New World. It's not old in comparison to the old world, where they had kingdoms set up for like centuries. So everybody's over here. It's pretty much like a melting pot of different nations and kindreds and tongues, and so there's never going to be a time, I believe, where everyone's going to be like, let's make this individual the king over all of us, factoring in everybody has different ideologies and beliefs, right? In comparison to if you're born in a land that's like, that's what there's a king where in the Netherlands, there's a king over there. If you're born over there, most likely your family and generations upon generations, they've been over there. Right? It's kind of like how people are coming over here and they're demanding change from the government, and that's not gonna happen like that, right? So over here it's the New World, what's known as the New World, and there's no king that's gonna be dominating over it. Even King Charles, like he's king or over these domains or this area here, but no one really acknowledges him over here. It's kind of like, it's almost like a play title that he has over here because he never shows his power, so
More like a puppet king. Because he has no power.
yeah, well, this is what a democracy is, right? Where the power is dispersed amongst the people. And look, you see, when you give power to people, you get confusion, and this is what's been going on over here. That's why you see in a lot of places, employers will always tell you, when it comes to you having conversations, just don't bring up religion and don't bring up politics, because these things, they look at it as dividing the people, which unfortunately that happens. It happens more over in America in comparison to over here, because like these people, they're crazy fanatics. It's like when it's time for an election, like I don't even really know too much when it comes to politics over here in Canada, but everybody is aware when the presidential election is happening in America. Everyone, it's a global event that occurs during that time where everybody is speaking about that, even though they're not even from the land of America. So a bunch of madness and confusion, but
yes. So once again, right, we're touching on republics. We're touching on the election. We're touching on Trump 2024. We're touching on, hey, did you make the educated choice, right? The choice that shows you understand life. The choice that shows that you are not a victim of miseducation, all right? Once again, this podcast is the Victims of Miseducation podcast, and this is a space, right, where we come to get more clarity on the understanding of life, all right? And right now we're tackling the 2024 elections. Republics, Democrats, democracy. Before you made that vote, do you know what a republic is? Do you know what a democracy is? Do you know the origin? Do you know where it came from? Do you know what it was against originally? Do you have that same spirit within you? Right? Because if you do, then you should be voting. Then you should be a part of the system. But if you don't, then you should be here to destroy it.
Yeah, I kind of have a question for those that do vote, because people like to complain about the system, and they're under the assumption, or basically, I guess they're delusional to think that, okay, if they vote for this party, the change is going to actually come through. I'm wondering for anybody out there, or ask themselves, or people need to ask themselves that vote, that has there ever been a time, and obviously for older people, has there ever been a time where you voted for an individual and you saw the change that they promised to do? Yeah. That's all I'm curious to know.
Yeah. And the thing is, what, they do those changes, because I was even reading a book before, because the main problem with republic and the system like this is because people, when they start voting the individual and they realize, guess what? I'm casting my vote based on, hey, what this individual is going to give me out of the treasury, right? So they do get sometimes, it's not going to be all the benefits, right? They're going to be some this, some that, right? So it's hard. They do see it. They do see, I guess maybe past times they've seen it more than now, but they're definitely seeing, hey, we're voting in these stuff. We're voting in more benefits that's going to come in. More this is going to happen, right? But to say that, hey, every one of their stuff probably got voted in, that would be a long shot. But I'm pretty sure they felt one of those things came to pass.
Well, that's the key thing, though, right?
Charger.
Sorry. I'm just going back into the promises that they make, or well, they don't say they promise, but they'll state the changes that they're going to make, because of course they are going to make certain changes, but all the changes that they promised people, they don't make them. That's what I'm getting at, because of course they're going to have to sweeten the pot. Anytime, look at over here with Doug Ford, how he wants us to go ship out $200 to each, individual, where you could buy maybe, a couple of groceries with it. But just to sweeten the pot, people love when they're receiving money, especially when they don't have to quote unquote work for it. But then again, how much taxes are you paying too as well?
It's called buying the vote.
Yeah, of course, but you sweeten the pot.
Yeah, you sweeten the pot.
Yeah.
Buying the vote.
Right,
Yeah.
but this is what we're saying, where it moves away from morals. It moves away from these things, what's divine, what's right, what's this, to people now have taken that choice. Remember, we're going back through the heavens mandate. We're seeing that, hey, the divine power was choosing before, who wasn't thinking about those things, who didn't care about money, this, what I'm getting, this. It was looking at, hey, this is the best individual based on, hey, it's the creator. It knows who's who to put into power, all right, for different things. And yes, we know that there was evil leaders, right? But evil leaders have a purpose as well, to lead us through different phases in society, to make us understand certain things, right? And the thing about a kingdom as well is that when there was an evil leader and the people knew, they rebelled, because you could be a king, but if no one wants to serve you, there's nothing you could do. So we've had kings that had to run out their own kingdom, right? But that's because everybody knew that, hey, this person, I have to be the one to agree, right? And if I don't agree, then I have an opportunity to destroy the system. But in a republic, even though they have it in the Constitution that the people could dissolve it if they think that it's corrupt, they don't do it. Right? They don't do it because, hey, we could just bring in somebody else. We could bring in another thing.
Yeah, we just have to suffer for 4 years. Yeah.
In kingship, they would destroy that bloodline, would not be allowed anymore. Right? So it would be like, hey, this family is cut off now. A new family is coming in. Right? But here it's like a new person and a different person, but the same system. You see what I'm saying? The same system that you're not destroying. Yeah. You're just looking at the people changing. The people are nothing. It's the system that needs to change.
I'm just even thinking where, like, it says that we're not wrestling against just flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. And when you look at over here in Canada, where do they deal with that type of stuff when it comes to the law? Parliament, what does it called? Parliament Hill.
Yeah.
And in America, you have Capitol Hill.
Capitol, they do it on the hill.
Yeah, in high places, right? Yeah, where a lot of wickedness goes on over there.
Yes. So once again, we're going to touch back, and I'm just going to go into another link, all right? And here, don't want to do this, right? But we're going to, because once again, everything always, why does it always come back, and we always have to go into some biblical text or something to analyze something based on history, based on something, all right? But in the Maccabees, and it's interesting because it was taken out, all right? This book was taken out of the Christians' KJV Bibles, all right? Which we know Rome, and when the KJV Bible was instituted, King James, another king, monarchy, right, was going against Rome and had things to say. Why would Rome take this book out, right? And you're going to know because it lets us know who Rome is, all right? How Rome operated. Why am I bringing up Rome? right? Because the same republic, which is the system, the country that people are living in, because once you're not in a kingdom right now, you are living in a republic. All right? And we're just going to show that this republic came from Rome. And all those who are friends of Rome began to take on the same image, the same governmental system, the same way of choosing a leader, the same way of voting. Look around the world. All the different nations, all different beliefs, backgrounds, all the same republic system. Once again, we're in Canada. We're right next door to America. America has a president. Canada has a prime minister. So this, even for those who don't want to believe in spirituality or whatever, the leader is a minister, a prime minister, meaning the main minister.
Yeah, minister of health.
Right? Minister of this, minister of that. Right? We don't have governor of this, governor of that, security of the state, secretary of this, secretary of that. We don't have secretaries here. Right? There's ministers. And ministers, that word minister goes back to religion.
Etymology.
All right? Let's get the etymology. All right. So a minister.
This is a minister, which is a noun, 1300. Quote, man consecrated to service in the Christian church, an ecclesiastic. Quote, also, quote, an agent acting for a superior, one who acts upon the authority of another, end quote. From Old French, minister, servant, valet, member of a household staff, administrator, musician, minstrel.
All right, minstrel, musician. All right, so we're here. A minister, a man consecrated to service in the Christian church. So once again, we know what ministers are, right? An ecclesiastic, right? A priest, a minister, a priest, a servant, a priest's assistant. All right, this is a religious term, minister. So when we have a prime minister, that lets us know that we're still connected, even though we vote in Canada, right? We have a constitutional monarchy, which means it's a republic and a monarchy at the same time. All right. So that's why the leader, right? All right, we'll give you a leader, we'll make you vote, but at the end, there's still a spiritual individual who's in control at the top. That's all that we're showing. Whether you believe that they're righteous, holy, this or not, right? They're spiritual. They're dealing with religion. And the religious leader, right, the divine religious leader was the leader of the land. That's what we're seeing in the Canada, because who was that? That's now King Charles, who was Queen Elizabeth, all right? And he's put in place who? To rule over Canada. He's put in place a prime minister. And he said, all right, I'm the ruler of Canada, but I put in this republic system because you guys, the people, want power to vote. And to choose someone to come in year and year. But guess what? By choosing those people, you don't destroy the system. So he's still in play. So you see what I'm trying to say, where people get distracted with the individuals and not the destroying of the system. What's happening per se. Because you can choose how much prime ministers you want. The same ruler, the same system is in place. And that's why they set up a constitutional monarchy. They're saying you're so focused on just voting the individual in. If I just allow you to vote, and hide myself in the background, I can keep my power while you guys just spend time arguing over who's going to be the next face of the country.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't make no sense.
And then we're like, oh, wait a minute. We're still living under the Queen. We're still living under England.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At least with some, they'll come to a realization where it's basically pointless to vote, because whatever agenda that the system has in play, it's going to be accomplished regardless of who's in there.
The one thing I can say about the Canadian system, at least here, if the if the person in power is doing a good job, he can actually stay in power for an extended period of time, while in America they're limited,
Yes.
right? So that's probably the only benefit, and in that sense, they're kind of mimicking a king.
Yes, they're mimicking. So that's
Right.
when they call it. What do they call it? What do they call that word that they use when somebody goes in? They say Trump was trying to be that too.
Usurper.
No, not a usurper. Oh man, when the ruler is gonna take all the power, they call it. Oh man.
A coup? What? No.
No,
When they're bringing him in.
a tyrant. Was it a tyrant?
A
Tyrant.
dictator? No.
Dictatorship. Yeah, those
Yeah,
are the
dictator.
words where they say
Yeah.
dictatorship.
Yeah,
a
basically.
tyrant.
Yeah.
Right, because he's coming to get the
Iron
full
fist.
control
A bully,
back. Yeah.
yeah.
The full control back again. Right, but yeah, dictatorship is the number one thing. So when someone's saying they're on a dictatorship, they're trying to meaning they're trying to dictate everything. They're
Yeah.
trying to decide every single thing again and have that full power of authority.
With control.
Right, with control. All right, so just once again showing prime minister, showing that we still are fighting these two systems over here, showing that Canada has balanced the two systems by instituting a constitutional monarchy where there's still the monarchy there, but we're still in a republic as well where people can still vote, but that vote doesn't overthrow the king or the royalty that's in place. Right, and I guess they probably figured that way to kind of ease the people from taking them away, right? And that's why they would give up some of their power to institute a constitutional monarchy, right? But just going back, we're at First Maccabees chapter 8, and once again, this is in the KJV Bible, the King James Bible, and I'm just showing two verses in here real quick, and I'm just showing because once again, we're showing that what Rome is the first republic. So if you're voting republic, that means you have the spirit of Rome in you. Because Rome created a republic. Rome created that type of system to government in. All government systems in the earth were all kings, were all monarchies, any land you went to. And if they weren't kings, then they were living tribal. And in tribes, you have a chief, meaning this person is just the number one leader. A chief is not a king. All right, once again, a chief is not a king. A chief rules a tribe. A king rules a kingdom. All right, so we're at First Maccabees,
So
chapter 8.
So this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 8. This is out of the Apocrypha, verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the Romans that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and noble acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute.
All right, so that's all we're taking from here. All right, why are we just taking this? Because we're hearing now Judas, the Maccabees. All right, he's hearing about Rome. Rome is entered in. And this is why it's key that we got to go through these scriptures, because now we're getting an account of, hey, Rome is around. Rome is happening right now. They're a country on the up and up. What are they doing? All right, they are mighty and valiant men. And how did they operate? Such as would lovingly accept all they joined themselves onto them. So people, they were willing to accept people. So this is how Rome took over. They didn't take over by fighting and forcing. All right, people lovingly accepted all themselves and they came onto them. They made league of amity with all that came onto them. So they're like, hey, come, we could be friends. So Rome made friends. And when you make friends, hey, they're like, hey, this is what we do. We can be friends and you could do the same thing too. So out of fear, people were becoming friends with Rome. And when you become a friend of Rome, you began to take on the system of Rome. Now, once again, when you're asking yourself in society, why when you go to another country, why are they on the same calendar as us? Why are they using the same calendar for business? Why are they using the same calendar for travel? Why are they using the same calendar on the internet? If we all have different beliefs, if we're all from different societies, what happened? People came and agreed to make league with Rome, to change their calendars to Rome. right, to change their countries to Rome. And those who don't change their countries to the Roman Republic, there was a problem. All right? They started to attack you. They started to fight you. They started to institute vigilantes in the land to usurp the king's powers. All right, so Rome took over by people being afraid, people making league with them, people agreeing to be with them. And we see the same thing happening today. That's how comes we can see people, hey, I don't agree with Rome, I don't deal with Rome, but you under the Roman calendar. Mm-hmm. You under the Roman system of business, of operations. Right? Your taxes is like Rome. The way you operate is like Rome. All right, so we're seeing here that anybody that they conquered, they brought them under tribute, which means they were paying them, right? Paying them as honor. Rome is powerful. Here is our tribute. So tribute is like a tax, but the reason why it's not called a tax is because this is given consensually, all right? This is given as, hey, I'm honoring you as a superior. This is for you. Protect me. Be my friend. I respect you. I love you. I honor you. All right. So we're just going there. We're just going to touch now and just more so showing more of what we're talking about. All right. We're at verse 18. Read verse 18 to 21.
All right, just for
Actually, to 22.
all right, just for clarification to it, it says it here, but the Judas is not Judas Iscariot, the one that betrayed Christ. So
Yes, it's Judas Maccabees. All right, and this is from the Maccabees, and we're just showing this because this is the only document we're going to see. Hey, this is how Rome was taken around, and this is why the Bible is so key, because they were writing down the history unbiasedly. Right, and now we have Rome coming around. It's letting you know how Rome operated. All right. We don't know who wrote these, but we can say and look around. Is Rome operating the same way? Do they do the same things? And we just use the calendar, for instance. Everyone that made league with Rome, are they not using the same calendar? Right? Mm-hmm. So they have to agree to use it. Why aren't we using someone else's calendar? Why it has to be Rome calendar? All right. Why do we need a republic? Why can't there be someone else's cultural governmental system put in place? When it comes to main countries, when it comes to modern countries, all right, that are on a big level, they all have the same system in place. All right, so we're there. We're at verse 20. We're at verse 19.
Even to
Actually, verse 18.
No, I was just going to say with the calendar, how now they added the extra months in that calendar. But then you mentioned that they're using the calendar, or the world basically uses that calendar.
Yeah, the world uses that calendar.
Yeah, so we're going at verse 18. All right, so this is the same First Maccabees chapter 8, starting at the 18th verse out of the Apocrypha.
Actually, you know what? Start at the 17th verse.
Okay, verse 17. In consideration of these things, Judas chose Epolamus, the son of John, the son of Achos, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of amity and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them. For they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, Judas Maccabeus with his brethren and the people of the Jews have sent us unto you to make a confederacy and peace with you, and that we might be registered your confederates and friends. So that matter pleased the Romans well. Continue.
Right? You could read the 22. We could read 22.
All right. And this is the copy of the epistle which the Senate wrote back again in tables of brass and sent to Jerusalem, that there they might have by them a memorial of peace and confederacy.
All right. So why are we going to this? We're showing you that when Rome came, people were making their way to Rome to make league, to make confederacy, to be registered as friends under Rome. And to be registered as friends under Rome meant that you were what? Gonna come into the Roman way, the Roman system, the republic. Now, guess what? Maybe someone may be like, you know what? This book is outside of the Bible. Okay, then how did Rome come to start ruling the children of Israel in the Bible. You see?
gotta
So
come
they
from
make
somewhere.
league with Rome because the Greeks were penalizing, they were warring, they were punishing Israel. So Israel used Rome as a friend in the confederacy of Rome, right? And the friendship with Rome to back off the Greeks. And this is how we get into the Roman occupation leading into the times of Christ. You see, it's all making sense now, right? You make league with Rome, you're a friend of Rome, you have the same system. So even when Christ came, you're wondering, how comes the Jews didn't crucify Christ? How comes it was up to the Rome? Because the Jews already, by dealing with confederacy, said we're against a king. And because they're against a king, guess who they were against?
The king of the Jews.
The king of the Jews. You see what I'm saying? It wouldn't make any sense. If you're a part of Rome, you're against kings. And what I went back to saying at the beginning. And for a Christian now to say, you know what? This leader of the Roman Republic, or the leader of the Republic free world, he's like this king from the Bible, right? It shows that we don't understand the Bible and how it's operating. All right, that this system that we're in straight came from Rome, and we're not even talking about the Bible. When we're talking about elections and everything, it's going to bring us back to Rome. It's going to bring us back to the Republic. It's going to bring us back to, wait a minute, if you join Rome, then that means you're against kings. And the biggest story that coming out of Rome is Rome against the Jewish king, or the Jew king. Whatever you would like to call him, the king of the Jews. Now it makes sense, because why? Those people we're reading right here, they came in league with Rome. So that means, guess what? They're siding with Rome's system of government.
And even to add just the story with Christ never said he was king of the Jews. They put that inscription on there. So they're like, yo, he's saying that. But it didn't come out of his mouth, though.
Yeah. And he already knew, because they already knew that, hey, they have the Roman system in place.
Yes.
Right?
They said our leader is Caesar.
Yeah, their leader is Caesar. Right, so we're just seeing and understanding once again how we're getting here. Why are you voting? What is a Republican? What is a Democrat? Where did the Republic come from? Right? Rome bringing in the Republic. We're seeing that when you became friends of Rome, guess what? You started to what? Make your governmental system just like Rome. And we went to the infamous story that everyone talks about. The story of Christ. The story of Jesus. The crucifixion.
There you go.
All right. They didn't want me to get it real quick. All right. The crucifixion. Rome as a republic, and the people who has a king, and them going against the king, joining Rome. You see what we're saying here? This system in place is a Roman system. This voting system is a Roman system. Senate is a Roman. Well, we're seeing it. They set up senates. They set these things up. All right.
It's the etymology of Senate,
Yes,
which is a noun.
What's that?
Then the
we're gonna go to
1200.
Senate.
You want to get it there? All right.
Yeah, Senate. All right, so Senate.
This is from the 1200s or the 12th century. Quote, the legal and administrative body of ancient Rome. And also it mentions here from Old French, Senat, or Latin, Senatus, quote, highest council of the state in ancient Rome, end quote.
Right, and it says a council of elders. All right, so once again, even in the Christian church, or even churches, they had presbytery churches. Presbytery church means that, hey, they're going against, once again, a church ruled by a monarch, which is usually ruled by an archbishop. And now they're just dealing with, hey, we're going to deal with this council of elder people that come and make a choice together. All right, so a senate, when they're creating a senate, that means basically they're not choosing a monarch leader. We're just having people of whose elders that have high understanding. They're going to come into a room and they're going to try to agree on certain things instead of having one leader.
That's what it was in the time of judges too as well, before there was a king.
A form of counseling.
Yes, a form of counseling without an official authoritative individual. All right, so that's what a senate is. All right, we have Ottawa Senators. That's a hockey team.
And where are they located?
in Ottawa,
The capital.
in the capital, right? Which, and guess what? Where are they located? They're in Canada. Canada, once again, we showed you that it has a republic here and the monarchy, all right? And they have the Senate there, showing us it's still what? The tie to Rome. That thing is what? Rome. That's a Roman system. Once we have a Senate, we're still a part of Rome, right? If I don't agree with Rome, why am I voting in the Senate? Right. So this is what we're here to understand. Once again, this is the Victims of Miseducation podcast. All right. We're tackling the 2024 elections. We're tackling Republicans, Democrats, the black vote, voting in general. And we're seeing why. Before you voted, did you make an educated vote? Were you a victim of miseducation? Did you understand life when you did what you did?
Good question.
Right? And now we're seeing, guess what? If you, first of all, are voting Republic or Democrat, you must be in agreement with a Republic system. You must originally be in agreement with the Roman state of mind. All right? You must be in agreement on rebellion against individuals who are chosen by a heaven's mandate. You must be in agreement with that rebellion. You are a part of an original rebellion against royalty. If you are a Republic or a Democrat, you should not be calling yourself a king. You should not be calling yourself a queen. Because the spirit of a republic embodies going against a king and a queen. It goes against that. All right. It's all about destroying a kingdom, rulership, authority, power. This is Rome's system. And it's no coincidence why, when we look at it, and the story of it all took us right back to the grandest story of all times. Christ, the crucifixion, Rome, Israel. All right. Why was Rome ruling in Israel? We just went there. Israel became friends with Rome to back up the Greeks. By doing that, they didn't know Rome would silently what? Take power over them.
It's like taking a rock and dropping it on your own foot.
Correct. Yes. All right. And by siding with Rome, you are now choosing to go against kings, which is why we have the story of Christ. Because the spirit of what? The spirit of Rome. When you're siding with Rome, guess what? The spirit of rebellion should be on you to go against a king. All right. So we're going to go. It's, hey, this is getting good, man. All right. We're going to go to another one. We're just going to go to some more. All right. We're at the Roman Republic. We're on Wikipedia. All right, just give us up to, let's say, the second paragraph. Give us two paragraphs there.
All right. Okay, this is on Wikipedia for the Roman Republic. The Roman Republic, and this is a lot of parentheses there, was the era of classical Roman civilization, beginning with the overthrow of the Roman kingdom, traditionally dated to 509 BC, and ending in 27 BC with the establishment of the Roman Empire following the War of Actium. During this period, Rome's control expanded from the city's immediate surroundings to hegemony over the entire Mediterranean world. Roman society at the time was primarily a cultural mix of Latin and Etruscan societies, as well as Sabine, Oscan, and Greek cultural elements, which is especially visible in the ancient Roman religion and its pantheon. Its political organization developed at around the same time as direct democracy in ancient Greece, with collective and annual magistracies overseen by a senate. There were annual elections by the republican system was an elective oligarchy, not a democracy. A small number of powerful families largely monopolized the magistracies. Roman institutions underwent a considerable change. throughout the Republic to adapt to its difficulties it faced, such as the creation of pro-magistracies to rule its conquered provinces and differences in the composition of the Senate.
All right, so the Roman Republic, once again, was from the classical Roman civilization, beginning with the overthrow of the Kingdom of Rome. So just once again, what we're showing you here is that to begin a republic, you must overthrow a kingdom, because that's what initially was here, whether you believe it or not, whether you don't believe in religious entities and, you know, divine power or whatever. The world was being governed by kingdoms that were being governed by this principle before we reach into a republic. Now, once again, to replace that original kingdom, there had to be a fight, an overthrow, a war. That's what we're showing. So even Rome, they would have originally had the same setup that all mankind had, given from God, given from the Creator. Right? Rome has an overthrow. It says 509 BC. That's about 509 years, it's saying, before Christ. And through this overthrow of the Roman kingdom, a republic begins to get set up. This is the first setting up of that. And it showed you that the republic system was an elective oligarchy. All right, and the oligarchy shows you ruled by a few people that was in power, a small number of people. All right, and it's the same thing, and this is not a democracy. All right, and the democracy, what is it showing you? All right, it says demos is people, and kratos is rule. People rule. All right, so the people rule. And it's a system of government in which the state of power is invested in the people or the general population. Now, what they've done in this new form of democracy, because what you're seeing here is that the people vote, but we have electoral votes.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the few.
Yeah.
There was only 270 of them.
Yeah.
Right?
I still don't really understand how that works. I think I heard last night, I think a state makes up 3. I'm not even sure how it goes. Something along those lines. Yeah, I still don't even understand how that even works, though.
Yeah, it's
I don't understand the
but this
technicalities
is where it's
of
stemming
it.
from. Basically, you know what? We'll allow the people to vote, right, and get away from one people controlling the power of choice, and letting the general public have a choice, right, by opening up all the voting. So we're seeing, hey, a lot of people get to vote, but then we're seeing, hey, only electoral votes really count, right? The popular vote, which that's the people, right? That one is not really the vote that count. When we're all looking at the screen yesterday, we're seeing 270.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the oligarchy system there, where it's the few who is really choosing and not the population.
Yeah.
Right, so we're seeing that same system in place. All right, so just going back to the overthrow. So we're going to click on that word overthrow. All right, and we're getting to a point here. All right, so the overthrow. So there has to be an overthrow when we're talking about a republic. All right, so give us the overthrow of Roman monarchy.
All right, overthrow of the Roman monarchy. We are once again in Wikipedia. The overthrow of the Roman monarchy was an event in ancient Rome that took place between the 6th and 5th centuries BC, where a political revolution replaced the then existing Roman monarchy under Lucius Tarquinius Superbus with a republic. The details of the event were largely forgotten by the Romans a few centuries later. Later, Roman historians presented a narrative of the events, traditionally dated to 509 BC, but it is largely believed to be a fictitious by modern scholars.
All right, and we're just showing once again that what had transpired. There's an overthrow of the Roman monarchy. At some point, they're saying it was about 6th or 5th century BC, so 6 or 5 years before that date of Christ. When we're seeing BC, it says before Common Era, or some people say before Christ. Right, but before Common Era, before Christ. And what happened? A political revolution replaces a then existing monarchy. So like I was saying, if you are dealing with a republic, that means you have this original spirit of rebellion against kings and queens. That means you don't like kings and queens. right? So just going back to these facts, if you're voting, if you're doing this, if you like that system, you're saying, hey, I am against kings and queens, regardless of who it is. Right? It doesn't matter if it's Christ, because he's part of a kingdom, the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this again because it was a Christian pastor who came out and was placing Trump as, hey, he's the modern day King Jehu, and putting the king term on a leader of a republic.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't make any sense when we're looking at history. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
To say that people are confused. They're not making educated choices, decisions. They're not looking right to make educated prophecy. Right? So we're seeing that, guess what? The overthrow of Rome happened. All right? And the existing then monarchy was overthrown by a Mr. Superbus. All right? With a republic. All right, let's read the next paragraph there.
All right. The traditional account portrays a dynastic struggle in which the king's second son, Sextus Tarquinius, rapes a noble woman, Lucretia. Upon revealing the assault to some Roman noblemen, she kills herself. The Roman noblemen, led by Lucius Junius Brutus, obtained the support of the Roman aristocracy and the people to expel the king and his family and create a republic. The Roman army supporting Brutus forces the king into exile. Despite a number of attempts by Lucius Tarquinius Superbus to reinstate the monarchy, the Roman people are successful in establishing a republic and thereafter elected 2 councils or consuls annually to rule the city.
All right, so we're just seeing here a fight happens. They're saying, hey, this man, and this is why we have to go through the story. We don't know how true the story is, but obviously they have to make it look some bad. Oh, the king did something, that's why we went against the king and this and that. That's why there's a whole thing of what is the initial story that caused this thing, right? The whole thing of, hey, they don't really know. They try to say it started from this 509 BC thing, and then it ends with this guy saying, hey, the king and his son killed a righteous woman and raped her and did all this stuff. And now this caused for the rebellion against the republic, right? That would sound like they would try to make that excuse to make it seem right and righteous to go against having kings and kingdoms set up, right? But this is the argument that happened in Rome that leads to the republic, all right? And this, once again, we're showing that if you are voting Democrat or Republic, that means you're agreeing with this initial understanding that you are against kings and queens operating on the earth. That means you are blocking yourself from being a king. You're blocking yourself from being a queen. That means you can't deal with the kingdom of heaven either, because you don't agree with kingdoms. All right, and this is all that we're going into to make sure people are educated about. So we're going back now. Let me go back to the Roman Republic, and we're just going to go into the Roman Kingdom again. All right, just clicking on the Roman Kingdom. Yeah, let's click on
Okay,
it.
so the Roman kingdom there.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, so we're still in Wikipedia. This is the Roman kingdom. The Roman kingdom, also referred to as the Roman monarchy or the regal period of ancient Rome, was the earliest period of Roman history when the city and its territory were ruled by kings. According to tradition, the Roman kingdom began with the city's founding 753 BC, with settlements around the Palatine Hall along the river Tiber in central Italy, and ended with the overthrow of the kings and the establishment of the Republic, 509 BC.
All right, you can stop right there. So this is all we're doing. Just showing you once again, there was a period where there's kings and they're ruling in Rome and all of that, right? Rome put in a system that destroyed kings of Rome, All right, it made republic. They're the first ones to come out with this system. That's all we're showing here. That if you're voting, if you're doing these things, you must be in agreement with the original understanding of what's going on to make a conscious choice today, modern day time, 2024, on voting Republican or Democrat, or saying we want to do away with a republic and we want to institute a kingdom. Right, but the reason why people can't come to this understanding. So you see, people came to an understanding to destroy the kingdom and to build a republic. But the way that the republic has been operating, people are not going to come to an understanding to understand the difference and the choice that they have. And hey, do you want to be ruled under a republic, or do you want to destroy it and raise up another kingdom? And once again, in kingdom, you knew the family, you knew the bloodline. If they did anything, all you did was go and eliminate their bloodline. So them having power didn't usurp people, because once again, many kings had to leave out of their lands. To be a king, people have to agree with your kingship. Right? You see, in today's society, they're using power. They're using weaponry. They're using all of those stuff, because we've seen the fight on Capitol Hill, all right, the last time. Right, people got arrested. People didn't agree. Right, but the system in place won't allow you to destroy and to overthrow. In fact, those people were slammed in jail, and when we get to it, that's going to be one of the things that Trump said he's going to try to clear up. All right, so we're continuing on. Let's see what else we got. All right, let's see what else we got. Overthrow. All right, yes, so we're going to Ethiopia. All right, so we're going to go to Ethiopia. We're going to go to Africa real quick to show you the same things happening. All right, so we're going to go to the Ethiopian Civil War, because everybody knows Ethiopia, all right, especially if you're from the islands. If you're from Jamaica, then you've heard of Haile Selassie, right? Haile Selassie the Great, the Emperor, Haile Selassie. Right, kings of kings, lords of lords, Haile Selassie,
conquering lion from the tribe of Judah.
Conquering lion from the tribe of Judah, right? With the blood of King David. Let's not forget that. All right, with the blood of Solomon in him. All right, coming from the marriage that they said, or not the marriage, the relations that Solomon and Sheba had. All right, before we even continue there, you know what? Let me bring it up real quick. I'm gonna bring up Menelik II. We're just gonna go put up Menelik II. We're gonna pull up his face real quick. All right, King Menelik II. All right, we just want y'all to look that this is a black man. All right, the Ethiopians are different. All right, they look different. All right, so I'm going to go and put up Menelik II again. Menelik II. I'll put a couple different pictures of him.
Say Negus.
All right, so when we're looking at King Menelik II. Yep, switch it. All right, so look at it. All right, King Menelik. This is a black man. All right. These were the kings of Ethiopia. All right. So we're going to look at Ethiopians. They're usually looking like this man right here. All right. This man's looking awfully like this man over here. We're gonna bring up just bring up. Let's just bring up a Jamaican real quick. All right, we're just gonna bring up a Jamaican. All right, a Rasta. Let's see if we can get one up here real quick. Or Jamaican Rasta. Let's see if we can get one right here. Let's just even bring this man up right here. All right, and we're seeing here, just once again, let's just take a look. Look. Menelik, who does he look like more like? Menelik looks more like this man here with that beard. All right. This man here, his hair is going to be straighter. His nose is going to be straighter. All right. Menelik. All right. So once again, we have to understand that the kings in Ethiopia, they were these black men. They did not look Ethiopian. They did not look Ethiopian. All right. This is Menelik here, the great Emperor Menelik. He was alive 1844 to 1930. He was alive in the 1900s. All right. This is not a far, far time away. The kings of Ethiopia were established. All right. And they put this bloodline in over them. All right. That they say came from Israel, the Jews, Solomon's bloodline. Right. And then we get to Haile Selassie. All right, so we're just showing again that these were the kings that was ruling Ethiopia, and we're going back now. All right, I'm going back now to Ethiopia and the Civil War to show what happened. What happened to those kings? What happened? Let's take a look again. All right, so we're at the Ethiopian Civil War.
The Ethiopian Civil War was a civil war in Ethiopia and present-day Eritrea, fought between the Ethiopian military junta known as Derg and Ethiopian Eritrean anti-government rebels from the 12th of September 1974 to 28 May 1991. The Derg overthrew the Ethiopian Empire and Emperor Haile Selassie in a coup d'etat on 12 September 1974, establishing Ethiopia as a Marxist-Leninist state under a military junta and a provisional government. Various opposition groups of ideological affiliations ranging from communist to anti-communist, often drawn from a specific ethnic background, began armed resistance to the Soviet-backed Derg, in addition to the Eritrean separatists already fighting in the Eritrean War of Independence. The Derg used military campaigns and the Kwe Shabir, Ethiopian Red Territory, to repress the rebels. By the mid-1980s, various issues such as the 1983 to 1985 famine, economic decline, and other after effects of Derg policies ravaged Ethiopia, increasing popular support for the rebels. Continue.
Yes. Continue.
The Derg dissolved itself in 1987, establishing the People's Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, which in parentheses PDRE, under the Workers' Party of Ethiopia, in parentheses WPE, in an attempt to maintain its rule. The Soviet Union began ending its support for the PDRE in the late 1980s, and the government was overwhelmed by the increasingly victorious rebel groups. In May 1991, the PDRE was defeated in Eritrea, and President Mengistu Haile Mariam fled the country. The Ethiopian Civil War ended on 28 May 1991 when the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, a coalition of left-wing ethnic rebel groups, entered the capital Addis Ababa. The PDRE was dissolved and replaced with the Tigray People's Liberation Front-led Transitional Government of Ethiopia. The Ethiopian Civil War left at least 1.4 million people dead, with 1 million of the deaths being related to famine and the remainder from combat and other violence.
All right, so we're seeing here, like I said, anytime we got into a republic, to get into this type of government, there was a rebellion. There was a war. For you to cast a vote for a republic or a Democrat in the United States of America, you have to be in agreement. You should be in agreement with the original thought of a republic. And we're seeing who brought in a republic. What type of people have republics killed since they've came into being? Let's just start with the biggest one on the table, Christ. All right, it started from there, and then we seeing it leading up. Every time that they want to take out a king or to remove a king's empire, they're gonna have to deal with a lot of murder, a lot of war, because they're instituting a whole new system of government. All right, this system of government is built on rebellion against the mandate from heaven, rebellion against a chosen individual, and the people taking up power into their own hands. Now, these people who are taking up power into their own hands, they're really just following Roman doctrinal understandings. They're being controlled by Rome. We started off with showing that Rome made league with people and started to make them take on the same image that Rome had, which is the republic. All right, so everybody who's using the Roman system, all right, is in agreement with Rome. You can mute it real quick. All right. So everybody who's dealing with a republic is in agreement with Rome. We're now here at the Ethiopian Civil War. The Ethiopian Civil War is a rebellion against the kings. What kings? Wait a minute. Which kings? King Menelik, Haile Selassie. All right. First of all, we're just showing you the spirit of someone who believes. All right. So I'm at the Solomonic dynasty. All right. Solomonic dynasty in Wikipedia.
Solomonic dynasty.
Yes. All right. And it has a lot of this because once again, this is world history. This is history. All right, so we're at the Solomonic dynasty.
The Solomonic dynasty, also known as the House of Solomon, was the ruling dynasty of the Ethiopian Empire from the 13th to 20th centuries. The dynasty was founded by Yakuno Amlak, who overthrew the Zagwe dynasty in 1270. His successors claimed he was descendant from the legendary King Menelik I, the supposed son of the biblical King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, in order to legitimize the dynasty's assumption of power. Although this claim ancestry gave the dynasty its name, there is no credible evidence that the dynasty was descended from Solomon or the Davidic line. The Solomonic dynasty remained in power until 1971, when its last emperor, Haile Selassie, was overthrown by a coup d'etat.
All right, so this once again, obviously, we're on Wikipedia, so obviously, beware. We know we're just going for quick information, right? And on Wikipedia, they're going to give general, right, one-sided opinions like this. They don't believe. Where did they get the evidence of having all of that? You don't know what they have, first of all, in their religious things. That's all stuff is all private, right? But once again, we've seen that at some point, there was somebody else, so is Yuku. So this person, Tesfa, he came in, and these people weren't a part of the Solomonic dynasty, but they understood that by law that was instituted, only those from Solomon dynasty can rule in Ethiopia, which gave right to the Solomonic dynasty principle we're seeing here. Right, and when that happened, this individual who showed that, hey, he's from Solomon's bloodline, right, it continued on until it said 1974. Well, why am I showing this? Because I'm showing again that the spirit of the republic actually comes against things that are divine. All right, so now we would have, hey, the last Solomonic dynasty. If you didn't take this guy out, we would still have a piece of history right now. All right, but they came together and they took out the Solomonic dynasty. Who took it out? A republic. So I'm just showing again, if you're casting a vote of republic, you need to understand the spirit of a republic. You need to understand that republics go against kings and queens. Here we are looking again. King getting taken out. How did Ethiopia change from a kingdom? How did we replace Haile Selassie and get into presidents in Ethiopia? A republic arose up. People started to rebel. They took out the Solomonic dynasty. You see? So once again, to be a part of this system of America and the republic is to be part of Rome, because you're starting off with Rome's original thought, which is to go against kings and queens, things that are divine. All right, because as we see, kings didn't choose themselves. They were chosen by something divine that chose them. All history agreed with that. We just went into Asia. We went into Asia, the heavens mandate. We could go right back here. All right. This is the Organization for Research on China and Asia, the mandate of heaven, then and now. All right, and it shows you that the dynasty now is not set up on heaven's mandate. How? Because China has what? Presidents. There we go. All right, this is what we're showing. All right, the spirit of rebellion in republics. All right, and now it doesn't matter if you're choosing Donald Trump, you're just choosing a leader that's leading this thought here that we're going through. Mm-hmm. I'm against kings. I'm against queens. I'm against that which is divine. I'm against having somebody rule. And you have to understand that you would rather God to choose, because people have ulterior motives. That's what we were going into. People start thinking of, oh, what are you going to give me from the treasury? Mm-hmm. What are they going to vote for me? What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do this?
Corruption.
All right, corruption. All right, so we're going to go in, we're going to check our next thing out. All right. We're going to go to the People's Democrat of Ethiopia and see when, just once again, when that got set up. So now we're seeing Democratic and Republic in the same thing now. All right. So here we go.
The People's Democratic Republic of Ethiopia was a socialist state that existed in Ethiopia and present-day Eritrea from 1987 to 1991.
All right, so before we even get there, the name of the country is the People's Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. They're a democratic republic. In America, they're fighting over who's Democrat and who's Republic. Yeah, they're the same thing.
They're both.
We just read in the thing that the Republic first was an oligarchy, then it turned to a Democrat society. So then what are we arguing for? Right? What is a Republican? What is a Democrat? They're on the same coin. Like we said, they're the same thing. It's the same system. Obviously, they might have different point of views, but their spirit is in the same thought of the rebellion that Rome created, which is called a republic. And now they're just fighting over different topics in the land, but this is their original spirit. This is the spirit that governs a republic. Rebellion against that which is divine. Right? We just look at recent history. We just went to Ethiopia, African country. And we're going to see who was behind that. All right? Who was behind that? Who was behind that? All right. So once again, we just doing a whole bunch of real quick. We at Wikipedia again. We at the second Al-Ethiopian War.
The second.
Italy with just O, just instead of the Y. Yeah. Italo-Ethiopian War. Second Italo-Ethiopian War.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let me know you're ready.
Good. We ready. We
All right.
ready.
The second Italo-Ethiopian War was referred to as the Second Italo-Abyssinian War. Was a war of aggression waged by Italy against Ethiopia, which lasted from October 1935 to February 1937. In Ethiopia, it is often referred to simply as the Italian invasion, and in Italy as the Ethiopian War. It is seen as an example of the expansionist policy that characterized the Axis powers and the ineffectiveness of the League of Nations before the outbreak of the Second World War.
All right. So just once again, so who was attacking that? We just seen that Rome, when they started their stuff, it mentioned Italy in there. All right. Rome being from Italy. Now we're seeing the same Rome. Guess who? Rome leading the attack against Ethiopia to take down its monarchy. All right. So once again, we're showing that Rome leads republics, and Rome and republics take out monarchies. We're showing that if you're voting Republic or Democrat, you're voting to take out a monarchy. You're voting to take out kings and queens. You're voting against said type of system. And if you're agreeing with that system, then let's take a look at the origin of that system. Let's take a look at who came out with that system. Let's take a look at who pushed that system around the world. Who pushed that system in Ethiopia? Italian invasion. Rome. Attack against monarchy. And here we're seeing, give us the next line right there.
On October the 3rd,
Actually,
1930,
no, sorry. Below, the next paragraph.
exasperated by Debona's slow and cautious progress, Italian Prime Minister Benito Mussolini replaced him with General Piero Badoglio.
All right, so Italian Prime Minister Mussolini. He's a dictator. He's a prime minister. You see? Another part of a republic, all right? We know that prime minister, right? It means partially republic, partially monarchy. All right, so going back again, Mussolini, a prime minister, leader of a republic, is going against, once again, the emperor, all right? Menelik, the throne, kings, queens, righteousness. All right, we're painting the picture for you. Painting that picture of, hey, what's going on here? Why are they taking these people down? All right, so they came against Selassie. Why? Because the world went through a change where every single country began to take down and overthrow kings and to set up a monarchy. All right, so they started to take down kings and set up republics. All right, so they start to take down the monarchies and to set up republics. All right, we're almost done here. We're almost finished. All right, we're just going to go now to the etymology of vote.
This is the etymology of vote, which there's a noun, mid-15th century, quote, formal expression of one's wish or choice with regard to a proposal, candidate, etc. End quote. From Latin votum, a vow, wish, promise to a god, solemn pledge, dedication. Noun use of neuter of votus, to promise, dedicate. The meaning totality of voters of a certain class or type is from 1888. And vote as a verb, give a vote to, enact or establish by vote, to vow, voted, voting.
All right. So once again, to vote meant to vow. To vow. What is a vow? To promise. To promise to what? To a god. Vows. When woman and man is there, they're doing vows. Who are their vows to? To a god, a superior. All right. You're making a promise. You're making a promise to a superior. So once again, even if you don't believe in religion, we're seeing that, hey, guess what? monarchs have some divine influence from what's called heaven, right? Even in Asia, they call this power heaven because it's coming from above that chose the leader. When they instituted a constitutional monarchy, meaning that, hey, it was half monarchy, half republic. When it was half republic, half monarchy. Oh, damn, I was going to go to something. Okay, we see. Oh, man, it just slipped me now. Well. All right. So it's going back again. Vote. We're seeing that individuals, yes, so going back again. Through a king. King was set up by God, some divine power. You're actually, when you're dealing with the king, you're actually dealing with God, right? You're dealing with God. God set up the king to represent him on the earth. Through that, you make a vow, all right? God bless the king, right? You start to say, hey, I'm going to protect the king. I'm going to do this. You start making these vows based on your belief that God is behind the king. That's what a vow is.
May the king live forever.
Right? May the king live forever. May he bless him. May he this. Right? Now, when we switch to a vote, people, and we use the word vote, people don't know that they're doing that same thing to an individual, right? With no spirituality back behind it now. Now you've made a vow to KAMALA. Now you've made a vow to Trump. First of all, did you know you made a vow? You thought you made a vote.
I think for a lot of them, like the essence behind it, they probably know that to a certain extent, but not technically.
Yeah, not
because
technically.
they're attached with their emotions to this act that you call voting. Hence why they don't want it in the workforce or in the workplace, because they know that it's going to cause tension, just like religion, which is something that you hold dear to your heart.
Yeah, you hold dear to your heart. Because once again, that's why we see all this argument, all this. They're basically fighting for a religion, a spiritual leader to go in front that they're vowing for. That they're saying, yo, I solemnly pledge that if this person's there, I'll do this and that. That's what a vow is. They're just thinking, hey, I'm just choosing someone to go up there. But no, you're actually vowing and saying, hey, when this person's in place, you're going to honor them. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're making all of these promises. You're thinking that, hey, I swear they promised me something.
Yeah.
Yo, you promised them something. And that's how we get into these elections. Like, what happened to what they promised us? No, you made the promise by casting the vote.
Exactly.
Yeah, you said you were going to vow. You said you were going to follow me. You said you were going to do what I said. Right? You made the wish to me. You made the promise that, hey, what I institute, you going to do. They didn't make a vote to you. They didn't make a vow to you. So why do they owe you anything? They didn't, you see? This is what we're getting into. All right? They should be voting to you.
Yeah. Well, that's why they kind of, well, they're not voting, obviously. They try to make it seem that way when they're going to their outreaches, they're going to the different states or even over here the provinces, you know, kissing babies, shaking hands, you know, staged phone calls that's not real, knocking people's door and they act like, so.
No. All right. So we're getting into it. So we're in that word vote. We're now at, guess what? All right. We're now Sean Puffy Combs. Yes. Let's remember. Remember when he told the black folks.
Vote or die.
Vote or die. All right. Vow or die. Now we can see why God is probably angry at him, right?
Well, right now he's not dying in prison, but he's, you know.
All right. So Puff Daddy, and I've seen this from a long time ago, he influenced the black people. Vote or die. Right. And it's the die part that's making the vote stronger. So he's saying you better vow or die. This is going back into even biblical stuff when we're talking about who's the Daniels and the Lions thing. Who's that king again? Nebuchadnezzar. All right, Nebuchadnezzar says, yo, you either gonna vote, which means vow to me, or you gonna die.
Yeah.
When a king says that, that means you vow to me, or you die. That's the spirit that Puff Daddy was bringing out now. That, hey, y'all need to vote Democrat or die. Right? Vote or die.
And even with the shirt, they make sure that they put the or and the other thing in red too as well to catch your attention on there.
All right, so Sean Puffy Combs launches vote or die campaign with young voters study. All right, and this is 20. He was trying to bring it back, 2020 presidential election.
Oh.
All right, so he was trying to bring it back, the vote or die.
I remember I seen there was a little relaunch of it. Okay.
All right, relaunch, Revolt TV, all of that now is destroyed. All right, God destroyed all of that.
Yeah.
All right, so we're seeing now they try to use that. They try to use the vote, vow or die. These are all the things that they need for the republic to stay. If you continue voting, the republic will continue existing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and they used him, and I believe this is when Puff Daddy, this is when his power reached new heights. When you're dealing with political power, when you're dealing with voting, I believe even one of the parties, the Diddy parties that they were showing was a party with Obama in them. He was running for Obama in them. They were showing one of those where it was an election party. So they used Puffy to do the election party after. The big, huge election party is a Puff Daddy party. And they're celebrating Obama and his win and all of that stuff. So they were using Diddy, once again, they're using him for what?
Yeah.
The black vote.
Yeah, they always do that when it comes to certain black celebrities or musicians or people that can influence other black people to try to vote on their side. It's like it's a common tactic what they use.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they thought Kamala was gonna win.
Yeah, because they're using the same tactics
That
again.
same
But people,
tactic.
again, they're smarter. So when you use that and you put her in front and you put black and you say, hey, this, and you try to be cool and you say, hey, I'm gonna legalize weed and this, that, we know what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Right? You trying to appease black people.
Yeah.
And it worked because she got 91% of the black woman vote.
Yeah, I think and also narrative they were pushing that she's a woman, and if you care about female or woman empowerment and
Right.
You can't go wrong with her.
Yeah, and it's, once again, the reason why we're touching it, because a lot of these things or reasonings is emotional and not based on the history that we're going through today. At none of the point I'm seeing people go through this extensive history to be like, you know what, this is why we're making these choices.
you know, just out of curiosity, what was her policy? You know? Or what was her policy?
Anyone that they asked when I was seeing, they couldn't really tell them the policy.
Her policy was pick me, not Trump.
Yeah, but yeah.
That was it. She
Where
didn't-
it's like,
she didn't-
oh,
she
she's
didn't
a
talk
woman
about-
and she's for the people, for the
for
black people.
She tried to put out something because she came on her. They brought her out like a little late, right? And then
Yeah,
she tried to spin some policies, but no one really knows. Any ask anybody, they don't know her policy. They know Trump. They could name out Trump and what Trump wanted to do and his main things.
Yeah.
Her biggest one that is striking me right now is the weed policy. Like I would legalize cannabis federally for Americans.
She was absolutely trying to get the black vote
yeah.
all the way.
To get high, right?
That would
Right?
bring every black person out of their cool. Go weed legal.
Yeah, but now they're all out of it, can't do nothing, don't want to work,
Yeah.
just sitting down.
They're only thinking about the principle of it's now legal. They can't stop me
Yeah,
because they can stop me for everything else,
yeah.
right?
It's unfortunate,
Right,
but
so we got our next thing.
all right. So this is Sean Combs. This is
No. We're not reading it.
okay, we're not reading it. All right, fair
We're
enough.
just going to the next link.
all right. Cool.
Yeah.
So let's get that.
The FEC investigating Diddy. All right, and we're just showing once again that the FEC is investigating P. Diddy's voting campaign, and this was launched. This is for the year. This is the old one. So this is the 2004 one. Right. So this is an old article, but just once again, a lot of people had a problem what Puffy was doing. So maybe you could just read up to.
So he's been a part of the political agenda for a long time.
For a long time, correct.
Well, I believe, once you have these politicians, I don't want to say he had them in his back pocket or anything like that, but he's rubbing shoulders with them. This is why I believe he felt that he had that much power. Where it's like, okay, if I'm rubbing shoulders with these people that are lawmakers, is the law going to take me down when I'm rubbing shoulders with the law?
Especially when they're at my party.
Yeah, they're at his party.
Of course.
He's running the party for them.
This is my party.
Yeah.
But you're in my party.
Yeah, the Diddy party, and then they had their political parties.
Yeah, the political
I
party.
think they go to the Diddy party.
Yeah. Remember, after the party is the after party.
Right, and the party's for the after party.
Yeah.
Right? So the party's for the party.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Democratic Party.
Yeah.
All right. So,
All right. So let's give it. I'll tell you when to stop there.
all right. So FEC to investigate P. Diddy's voting campaign. The Federal Election Commission, known as the FEC, announced on Monday that it will investigate a complaint made by Peter Flaherty of the National Legal and Policy Center against hip-hop mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs in his involvement in the 2004 presidential election. Flaherty said that Combs' attempt to get more people out to the polls last year during the Vote or Die campaign was in violation of the IRS and the FEC, particularly when Combs publicly promoted the election of Senator John Kerry and the defeat of President George Bush. Flaherty, president of the organization that promotes ethics in public life through research, education, and legal action, said in a letter addressed to the FEC that Combs, the founder and CEO of Bad Boy Worldwide Entertainment Group, undertook an illegal campaign aimed at defeating President Bush. A group that was responsible for sponsoring the Vote or Die campaign is under scrutiny too. Citizen Change, the nonpartisan organization formed by Combs, served as the umbrella group for the Vote or Die campaign. Flaherty said that on its website, Citizen Change described itself as a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization with a mission to educate, motivate, and empower millions of young Americans to access their power on November the 2nd. When the website was still active, it also stated, together with support of such media powerhouses as MTV, BET, and Clear Channel, we will unite under the banner of Citizen Change to form a cultural tour de force, attacking programming airwaves and college campuses to spread our message, vote or die. While the vote or die message is an alarming one, so too are the conditions affecting our communities. It has become a matter of life and death.
All right. So this once again showing that, hey, Puffy had this huge campaign. Right. This campaign, they even said he was using methods that they believed was unethical in how he was going and promoting this to young folks, right? And then they showed you, and at the end part, they're saying, "Hey, that vote or die. That's a strong message, right?
Yeah.
You're saying vote or die,
Yeah.
right? They put life on the line now, right? So this once again going back to what the vote is, that the vote is a vow, and vows were made to gods, right? To a superior. When they vowed to a king, the king was really in place, or not in place, but set up by God, where you're initially vowing to God through the king.
Heaven's mandate.
Right? Heaven's mandate. Here, you're vowing, but there's no religion. So you're now solely vowing on the individual. Right? You're voting on the individual now. All right? And this is where we get into, right, these cultic behaviors that people start to deal with. Oh, following them, this, and oh, this person's my king now. And this is where we get into Trump is the king, and he's a president. He's not a king, right? There's a whole difference between kings and presidents. There's a whole history between the two, and that's what we've been going through. To be a republic, all right? To be a democratic republic, as we see it's supposed to be called, right? Meaning that democratic and republic are words that coincide with each other, not against each other. All right. So if you have Democrats and Republicans fighting, they shouldn't be fighting. Those two words in countries' names are together. The Democratic People's Republic of Ethiopia. They got both parties in that name.
That's a lot.
We decided to skip all the bull.
Yeah. Right. To be a republic, or to live in a republic society or a governmental system ran as a republic, means that you are in league with Rome. Rome came out with republics. Rome brought out republics. Rome replaced their kingdom with a republic and then began doing that all around. When we go through the history of Rome, Rome did that first to what? The Bible. Inside of the Bible, the Jews, the kingdom of Israel, Christ. Right? The Jews reject the king, Christ, under the guise of who? Rome. Why? We just went and read Maccabees. They were already beginning to what? Have league and friendship with Rome. You see? So they were in league and friendship with Rome prior to the coming of Christ. And that's why when he came, Rome was ruling in Jerusalem. Right? Because the people were already starting to go against what's called a kingdom, where a king is in place.
Just thinking about the vote and the vow situation there, and just talking about with kingdoms and kings in comparison to the democracy there, and just with the whole vote or die. And what crossed my mind is they never wanted Christ, but they wanted Barabbas, just going into vote for Christ, which he's the king, or die, which, you know. Yeah.
So the original vote or die was, hey, they're like, yo, kill it. Right? We don't want to vote.
We don't want
we rather die. Or him die, not us.
But you can put it on our children.
You put it on our children.
Madness.
All right, so we're just going to roll through this last part here. All right, we're at the 7 things Trump says he will do. I'm just reading them out. All right, we're not going in detail. So the 7 things Trump said he's going to do. He said he's going to deport undocumented migrants. All right, so that's the number one thing he said he's going to do. He's deporting the undocumented migrants. All right, moves on economy, tax, and tariffs. So he's going to bringing in different moves on the economy. All right, so he said he's going to stop the Ukrainian war and all that money that's being spent, taxes and tariffs. He's going to make sure America's getting their due diligence of what countries are supposed to be paying to them. Right, and he's going to cut climate regulations. So this is going back to climate change and all that stuff. And we need to use, fossil fluid and all this different stuff. Fossil fuels. Right, end the war, end the Ukraine war. All right, so ending the Ukraine war, he said he's going to bring, right, no abortion ban. All right, pardon some of the January 6 rioters going back to the Capitol Hill, right? Those who, you have a right to overthrow government. Right, so he said he's going to pardon some of those and sack Special Counsel Jack Smith. Who's that? Trump has vowed to sack within 2 seconds of taking the office the veteran prosecutor leading 2 criminal investigations against him. Oh, so he's going to take out the investigator. He's like, hey,
You're
brother,
out of here.
You thought you could continue that investigation?
Yeah.
You're fired.
Yeah, you're fired.
Remember you had the show there?
Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah. So he said he's taking that brother out. So he already got that set. So out of that 7 thing, that still doesn't lead us into, hey, we're going into a new free world of immediate changes that benefit us.
No.
We're going to things that benefit him.
Them, the system, little things, but not the big majority of things, all right? And the only way for that to happen is, once again, the Republic redeciding itself and coming together under a constitution, right, that they could all agree upon, modernize, or them destroying the Republic and setting up a monarchy, and they must choose a king. But this is the problem. In today's society, how can we all get together to choose a king with so much knowledge, so much pride? Forget the knowledge.
Yeah.
So much pride.
Yeah.
People don't even want to work under somebody anymore.
Much less.
Right?
Yeah.
Much less to acknowledge a king.
Yeah. They'd rather pick a government and then cuss the government because they can cuss a government.
Yeah,
When it's
yeah.
a king, who can curse a king?
Yeah.
Right?
So we're seeing this thing out. Not everybody can be a leader. Not everybody can be a king. This is the number one understanding that people around the world have to understand. Not everybody is meant to lead. Right? Not everyone is meant to be a leader. Some people are perfectly fine following in somewhere else in that bracket.
I agree.
All right? But not the head. God chooses that. And we fall in line. But the pride in us can be like, why can't I lead? Why ain't I the leader? But you are a leader. You can lead your house.
Yep.
You can lead your children. You just can't lead the land.
Lead yourself too.
All right? You can lead yourself. Right? You can lead your wife. You could even lead some friends around you that need somebody to be around you. Right? But you're just not meant to be a leader. Not everybody is meant to lead a nation, to lead a people.
It's a great responsibility.
All right?
Not everybody has that capacity.
Yeah, I agree. and mental fortitude.
All right, but somehow we are all kings. Somehow we are
Yeah.
all queens.
But,
Queen of your house, or-
but then we're in rebellion.
Yes, we're rebellion. We're living in a republic. All right, so we're going to go to the final thing here. And that's just, once again, leaving y'all on what is a constitutional monarchy. All right, and how we got to that. So once again, America is just a republic. Canada, beside it, is a republic mixed in with monarchy. And that's called a constitutional monarchy.
Part of a commonwealth.
All right, part of the Commonwealth, right? Part of a kingdom. So we're just going to go into what is a constitutional monarchy, definition, and examples. So we're just going to read a little of this.
All right. So what is a constitutional monarchy? Definition and examples. A constitutional monarchy is a form of government in which a monarch, typically a king or queen, act as the head of state within the parameters of a written or unwritten constitution. In a constitutional monarchy, political power is shared between the monarch and a constitutionally organized government, such as a parliament. Constitutional monarchies are the opposite of absolute monarchies, in which the monarch holds all power over the government and the people. Along with the United Kingdom, a few examples of modern constitutional monarchies include Canada, Sweden, and Japan.
All right, so we're seeing here constitutional monarchy. What is that? That's where the king or queen acts as head of the state. So they're actually the president. They're actually ruling over the state, which is, once again, it's not a real thing. So a state is a thing that's just, it's the state that it's in currently.
Like
But
psychological.
Psychological, all right? It's mental, it's abstract. Right? They're the head of the state. This thing that was created.
State of mind. Like,
Right? But then they allow a parliament. What is the parliament? This is the same system that you would see in America, the republic, where you're allowed to vote in the person. You're allowed to spread around the power, all of that. Right? And the king or the queen agrees that, you know what? I have the power, but I'll give y'all this system of government where y'all can make these choices and I sit back, and as long as y'all do it within these parameters, I just sit in the background. Right? But it's a monarchy. Basically, the king is forced to agree to a monarchy, and the people aren't fully going into a republic. And what I've seen, especially by looking especially at the Maroons agreement, what they had in the land in Jamaica with the people, these people, when they were faced with this aggression, they had to do something. And the best thing that they realized, even with slaves, was, hey, you know what? Let's sit at the table and let's agree. What do you want? And let's write it down. Let's come to agreement and let's write it down. And they knew that these people, most of the time, they didn't even know what individuals were writing down. They didn't know some of the words. They didn't know some things. So even the islands and the people who fought for independence, they never wrote their own constitutions. It's these people that was faced with aggression that then came and said, you know what? What is it that you want? Let's agree to it. I'll write it out for you. Tell me what it is. I'll write it out and we agree so we can stop all of this war. And that's what happened with a constitutional monarchy. The people, the king is coming to the people and saying, yo, what do you guys want? They're like, yo, we want this, that, that. He's like, all right, you guys want to vote? Da, da, da. So he's like, all right, I'll write in a constitutional monarchy where y'all have a parliament. Y'all get to do that. But he's like, all right, as long as I get what? To keep my power. You don't remove me. I'll sit in the background.
Yep.
And that appeases the people. Like, oh, you know what? His power has been relinquished. So you could keep there because they feel at that moment they have a certain power. Not realizing that still the king has absolute power because they can destroy that whole state. They're not going to do it within the state. They'll just destroy the whole state. Yeah. They have the power to destroy Canada. Right? So the king right now could destroy Canada if he wants. Yeah. He doesn't have the power to change things within Canada because he spread that power up in Canada, but he could change what's going on over the whole Canada.
Yeah, like in the land registry, for those that do live in Canada, if you're to go and look, if you have property over, if you're to go, you have to pay for it. To get a printout of your lot, there's a code in the corner and it's in the form of a percentage, how much interest they have in your land. So if, like, you know, Megan, is it Megan and Harry? What's her name? Megan?
Megan.
Yeah, Megan and Harry.
Yeah.
Like if they were to come over here and they saw this house and the property that they like, they can Yeah, exactly. Just like how the government can expropriate or
Yeah.
compulsory acquisition and your property's gone. But it just shows that most of the places it's just 1% because most likely it's a slim possibility that's going to happen where they're going to say they want that particular land and now you got to leave. But it's still to show that they have power over the land.
They
though.
have full power. Nothing's in the people or the land or the thing. Everything's still owned by the monarch. We're showing they have full power. They're just hiding it because they're like, yo, if these people find out, then they might rebel against me again and I might lose all the power.
Yeah, because America is paying tax to England. They're still paying.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so is Canada. Still paying taxes. Right? So.
All right. So we're just going to go touch on a little more of the power distribution in the constitutional monarchy, and we're going to end it right there.
You want to go to the key takeaways part there or skip over that?
No, we can skip over that part. Actually,
Okay.
you know what? You can read it. You can read it.
All right, so this is the key takeaways for a constitutional monarchy. A constitutional monarchy is a form of government in which a non-elected monarch functions as the head of state within the limits of a constitution. The next point is political power in a constitutional monarchy is shared between the monarch and an organized government such as the British Parliament. A next pointer here, or the last pointer, a constitutional monarchy is the opposite of an absolute monarchy in which the monarch has total power over the government and the people. So continuing on here, this is power distribution in a constitutional monarchy. Similar to the way that the powers and duties of the President of the United States are described in the U.S. Constitution, the powers of the monarch as the head of state are enumerated, are enumerated in the Constitution of a constitutional monarchy.
All right, so it's showing you the same thing, the same way the powers and duties of the President of the United States are described in the U.S. Constitution. The powers of a monarch as the head of state are placed in the Constitution in a constitutional monarchy. So he's saying, you know what, I'm going to agree to these things in the Constitution. All right, but continue for us.
In constitutional monarchies, the monarch's political powers, if any, are very limited and their duties are mostly ceremonial. Instead, real governmental power is exercised by a parliament or similar legislative body overseen by a prime minister. While the monarch may be recognized as the symbolic head of state and the government might technically function in the name of the queen or king, the prime minister actually governs the country. Indeed, it has been said that the monarch of a constitutional monarchy is, quote, a sovereign who reigns but does not rule, end quote.
Continue.
As a compromise between placing blind trust in a lineage of kings and queens who have inherited their power and a belief in the political wisdom of the people being ruled, modern constitutional monarchies are usually a blend of monarchical rule and representative democracy. Besides serving as a living symbol of national unity, pride, and tradition, the constitutional monarchy may, depending on the constitution, have the power to disband the current parliamentary government or give royal consent to the actions of the parliament. Using England's constitution as an example, British political scientist Walter Bagehot listed the three main political rights available to a constitutional monarch. Quote, the right to be consulted, the right to encourage, and the right to warn, end quote.
All right. So we're seeing here, under the constitutional monarchy, the monarch is agreeing to relinquish that power and put it in constitution, put it in writing that they're going to do so. All right. Which,
So basically, they're being forced.
yeah, they're being forced. Yes, because if they didn't, the people would have just killed them and they would have been gone.
Yeah.
But this is the way that they were able to come to the bargaining table and say, hey, we can work it like this. Can we agree? And they agreed. Some places don't agree with that. As we see, they go full republic and no monarch over them at all.
Nothing. Yeah.
Right. So those who have that's very few. It shows you that very few places have constitutional monarchy because they would just go republic the whole way.
And I guess that's just those places that actually have their king still. That's just from the grace of God.
Yes, sir. All right. So where's the last thing I'm just gonna show on the screen? I'm not gonna go into it. All right. But we just have been divine right of kings. All right, we're gonna go to the Wikipedia and just give that last.
All right, this is the divine right of kings. In European Christianity, the divine right of kings, divine right, or God's mandation is a political and religious doctrine of political legitimacy of a monarchy. It is also known as the divine right theory of kingship. The doctrine asserts that a monarch is not accountable to any earthly authority, such as a parliament or the pope, because their right to rule is derived from the divine authority. Thus, the monarch is not subject to the will of the people, of the aristocracy, or of any other estate of the realm. It follows that only divine authority can judge a monarch, and that any attempt to dispose, dethrone, resist, or restrict their powers runs contrary to God's will and may constitute a sacrilegious act. It does not imply that their power is absolute.
All right, so we're just showing here that, guess what? Going back again, divine right, heaven's mandate, all of these things. Something coming from heaven is, what is that? Divine, right? This was divine, right? It showed you that this was in European Christianity. That's the name. This name was from there. In Asia, it's called heaven's mandate. In Europe, it's called divine right of kings. Every place had this here. And they understood that these people did not, what? They were not under the authority of anybody else. All right? Their power did not derive from anybody else but this divine authority. This divine authority penalized it, punished it, chose it, decided when to overthrow it, decided when to put up a new bloodline in it. Mm-hmm. All right, and they understood that this was a divine will that was happening. What replaced this type of system is what we see now. And you could be like, I don't deal with religion. I don't deal with that. All I want to know is that you agree that you deal with Rome. Because that's where the stuff came from. Mm-hmm. All right? So you can deny all of that, but you cannot deny the fact that you're agreeing with Rome. And as long as you make that educated decision, that's all that this podcast was about. Right? This is the Victims of Miseducation podcast. A space where you come to understand life, to get a clearer understanding on topics that people aren't attacking the importance of, the important topics, the important discussion that need to have. They're attacking the topics that everyone's deciding, that the media is promoting. We're not looking at the facts, or let me say the truths that we need to look at in order to make the proper educated decisions. If you are a Republican, if you voted, you're saying you agree with republics. You agree with that spirit of rebellion against kings and queens. You agree with the Italy overthrowing of Haile Selassie. You agree with the killing of Christ. You agree with all the things that a republic has taken down in order to set itself up. You agree with what? The originator of the republic, Rome. All those who made league with Rome, and we read this in the Maccabees. You could read it in history. It's all in history. Anyone who made league with Rome, all right, instituted the Roman system. How do we know that? The calendar, business, commercial, all dependent on the system of Rome, the calendar of Rome. Those who don't agree leave the Roman system. They go against Rome. In actuality, Protestantism, when it first came out, it never adopted the Roman calendar. When the Roman calendar came out, those who weren't Rome wasn't on the Roman calendar, right? Why would they adopt it if they're not Roman? But if you're a friend of Rome, then you would adopt it. What are we saying here? All right. If you voted, if you casted a vote, then you did that. Right. And we're hoping you did that with good understanding and clarity. That you didn't do that under the guise of being a victim of miseducation. That you didn't do that without understanding life. All right. With that said, this is the 2024 election. All right. And we just had to touch on these important topics. Once again, this is Mr. Victims of Miseducation. This is the Victims of Miseducation podcast. And we were bringing you this important information so that you can understand life and you can make the correct decisions. All right. Thank you for listening. And you could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with us.
Oh yeah.
Understand life. Understand
Understand
life.
life.
Understand
Yes.
life. Understand.